Hey, what's going on, friends and family? My name is Skylent, and I just kind of wanted to shout out a brand new trend that I'm really seeing right now with the MMO genre especially. But in just saying that, MMOs themselves are kind of starting to trend back up again. A long time ago, from EverQuest to World of Warcraft, we started right after that to get a lot of momentum with the massively multiplayer online genre. Games like PlanetSide were busting out. Then we had so many WoW clones and free-to-play games that, yeah, maybe they weren't the greatest, but we made some memories, right? Fly for fun, stuff like that. You know, the weirdest stuff. Okay, a lot of Chinese MMOs, but in the end, we actually had so much fun with the genre, but it kind of waned down, it died down, and then we started to grow up and realize actually these games weren't that great. But you know, we got our Guild Wars 2, we got Elder Scrolls Online, we had so many MMOs that kind of just came and sort of, you know, they just weren't in the spotlight anymore. MOBAs were champions, Battle Royales, oh my goodness, and then we had all these other fads that have been jumping out at us very quickly, and survival games were definitely one of them as well. Survival games actually gave us many unique social experiences that before were kind of special to MMOs, but survival games just actually did them better, even though they had smaller servers, smaller player counts. It was more hardcore PvP. It was actually more social and organic with the community, with cooperation and like building bases and hunting down dinosaurs or something like that. A lot of really cool stuff came out of survival genre, and MMOs in the end sort of a little bit stagnated in terms of MMORPGs. But now what I am telling you is that I'm trying to do lists, right? Covering new online social games. So not just MMOs, not just survival games, and yet I find myself making a lot of videos on specifically survival MMO games. So it looks like the new subgenre that's really going to be taking off, at least right now, at least what if developers are thinking are going to take off and they're really attempting, is survival massively multiplayer online games. Or what they're doing is they're taking the survival formula and just sort of upping the ante, going a little bit bigger, maybe you could debatably say more massively with their servers, with their server architecture and how they're working the netcode, how they are balancing the game, and overall how they are advertising the game as well and publishing it in general with certain events in mind, with the community building the game in real time in mind, with the idea that this game is meant to be a living, breathing world versus micro servers or micro experiences that are played cooperatively or even single player. So I think that's super freaking awesome. And I want to talk about some of the games that are doing some certain things a little bit special to get you guys just a little bit hyped. So let's use an example of a game that I just realized freaking existed, and that is Fractured Veil. First glance, yeah, it's a very kind of stereotypical wake up on, I guess, Hawaii. It's like Dead Island, right? It's a little bit more online, okay. There's mutants, there's cannibals, you use Hawaiian weapons and stuff. You can shoot a ukulele like a crossbow. I don't know, it's neat, right? Nope, there's some extra little nuggets there that make it kind of a little bit special as an online and social game. So firstly, they canonize the idea of server hopping. So there are parallel universes or worlds inside the game, and that's kind of how you actually jump from, I guess, island to island or realm to realm, or you get the idea, right? And this kind of reminds me of Valheim, actually, where you're able to take your stats, take your character from world to world. And in fact, an upcoming game as well is doing something of a similar concept, where you're jumping from instance to instance, or you load into a zone sort of Deep Rock Galactic style, and that game is Icarus from the developer of DayZ, right? So this concept of instanced worlds that have permeability, so you can go in, take stuff out, and then also, you know, the consequences follow you, is really exciting to me. So even if you can't have one giant server with all millions of players all playing together, you can still have that persistence throughout, you know, basically just the loading screens, and that's effectively the same. As long as there's still potential for large groups of players to come together, do raids and stuff like that, which actually Fractured Veil is planning to do, then that's super exciting. And also, another thing that Fractured Veil is trying to do is this weird idea of drones. There's drones that have machine learning, so they fly around and spectate the game and you can watch it. So just another added layer of like social experience stuff and things. And I haven't really seen that in an MMO since like Final Fantasy XI actually used to have like a streaming camera set up in its hub town. That was weird, but I don't care. I'm all about that weird online, you know, how you interact with people kind of stuff. So Fractured Veil is definitely getting bonus points for really emerging with that kind of concept. But on a note about how you interact with people in weird ways, one unique thing of MMOs is sort of this idea of politics or diplomacy or espionage, you know, like really weird, like almost whole guilds working together to conquest and fight other guilds. But not many MMOs actually allow you to have empire fights or true conquest of territories. It's a little bit sparing and rare. You maybe could say games like Albion Online, sure, or obviously EVE Online, but it kind of can actually be touched on a little bit lightly in survival games as well. There are clans, people who would build up, you know, bases all together and do and raid other clans as well, but the small server sizes and overall the infrastructure of those games didn't really support that lifestyle, even if the gameplay was so rich for that. So let's just combine the best of both worlds, hopefully at least, and then you're gonna get games like Bitcraft, as well as Myth of Empires. These games are gonna focus on, yes, you spawn, you punch trees, kill some alligators or something, I don't know. You build little huts and things, but you meet other players and you work together and you elect leaders, and then you kind of build up from village to kingdoms, keeps, and all the way to entire empires, and you try to conquest the actual server. Be the biggest city that you can be. Now, I actually played this sort of gameplay experience inside of Minecraft with some MMO servers that had the Townie plugin and a few other things like cities and stuff. And basically the goal was to have as many players join my epic big city to make it even bigger and epicer and have more people in it than anybody else on the server. That was sort of the win condition. But luckily in these other survival games, like at least specifically Myth of Empires, it is going to focus on like big giant siege warfare, you know, actually conquesting kingdoms. That's something that has always been sort of a dream, a fantasy, and really kind of a fetish for hardcore sandbox PvPers, people who used to play Mortal Online, right? Darkfall, stuff like that, and obviously Albion Online, but the ability to really fully craft and build your keeps, being able to really get into the game and mechanically fight, you know, like in first person or third person in action combat. And then, you know, that kind of stuff just really excites me. But the idea of, I want to say, focusing on guild crafting, empire crafting, and, you know, conquesting other people, even if it is mostly through a competition of leaderboards of sorts, or focusing on like resource wars, like might be the case with Bitcraft, I'm actually entirely fine with that. It doesn't have to be actual action combat. The thing that I think is really special here is the fact that it's taking MMO elements and survival elements and putting them together to elevate it to, I guess, you know, heights that have never been seen before, such as it's not just survival of you, like in Don't Starve, make sure you have food, make sure you don't get killed by bunnymen, whatever, okay? So that's the focus. You focus on surviving you and just kind of existing. But then there are survival games that are more about building and thriving and, like, you know, they're factory based or whatever, so they're about efficiency, and it's about, you know, just a little bit more. It's about building a village or something like that. But then there's more, you know, there's co-op games, or there's server survival games, or now MMO games that are about surviving as a freaking like civilization, as an empire, as a whole guild clan together, surviving all together, because it's possible that your guild, your empire might be wiped out. And I think that is something that obviously hasn't really been done too much, but I think it's something that a lot of people are really hungry for, because that's what we've wanted in MMOs for so long as well. And of course, the marriage, I think, is perfect. And it's about time that we've got that. Even games that aren't technically survival games we're seeing, you know, upcoming with Kickstarter games, a big trend, like with Ashes of Creation, to make it about building cities, building kingdoms, working together as a community, and the potential for that to all fail away. So even if there isn't a hunger bar technically, there is an element of guild and world, like, you know, as a whole, you know, this community survival and building aspects. And since we are talking about, you know, upcoming trends and upcoming games and all the excitement around that and all the new technologies, we actually need to talk about, yeah, the push of new technologies, new add-ons, new updates, and new modifications that actually turn old survival games or old MMOs into each other, or, you know, they blend together and they become something more. So yeah, what makes an MMO an MMO? Basically, lots of players. And most survival games like 7 Days to Die or Valheim, they're amazing games and they're good co-op, and there might even be fun a little bit for a small PvP, you know, ganking or something like that. But in the end, they don't really work as MMOs until somebody actually develops a modification, or maybe, you know, computers and the internet just in general gets a little bit better and we have new technologies, or maybe some new update gets pushed out and allows for servers to be more than 20 players. Maybe it becomes 50 players. And I think at about 50, and especially as you get to 100, which we've actually seen some Minecraft and Rust servers become, we can see games become MMOs. You have survival games that are now trending where they have MMO servers, where they have literal add-ons, and I know you've seen these in Minecraft, that just totally changed the game, where it's like, dude, this is just straight up a whole unique MMO RPG. They just used Minecraft as a game engine. And I think that needs to be mentioned as well. Oh, that is so exciting. But aside from some of the like really grandiose concepts, what I really just want to hit on is that survival games basically have generally very organic gameplay, and they have very custom gameplay. Even though a lot of them don't have fully like sweeping RPG mechanics, it's just like base building, or even, you know, the resources and the type of stuff that you hunt and gather. Just those little choices, those very nuanced and frankly very chorish choices are actually make like the multiplayer experience very enriching. You know, it allows for a lot of people to diversify their classes or their roles within the, you know, server community, which then when you blow that up to an MMO space, actually gets very exciting, and historically has been true from Ultima, RuneScape, or Albion Online. Even in very theme park games, you do have those roles and they exist and people want that, but I think survival games just allow for more choices, more options, and basically more gamification. So that's really cool that we're seeing that. And on top of that, you do overall have like a sort of connotation that survival games are a little bit more, I guess, challenging, or a little bit more like sandboxy, which we have had a lot of theme park MMOs lately. So more sandboxy style MMOs, which absolutely is also a trend, with Albion doing great. RuneScape is a soft sandbox doing pretty good as well. And most of the Kickstarter MMOs basically being like, yo, we're open world sandbox, do whatever you want, boys. And that's awesome. But survival games, obviously, you know, that's always been the core, that's always been sort of like the soul of the games, even to a point of having a lot of PvP. So I do appreciate multiple ways of playing with these games, and as well generally like the customization that comes with survival games too, where there's this openness of like mods, or this openness of, yeah, you can run your own servers, and regardless of that, even there is just this general sense of a closer tight-knit community that comes with survival games, which funny enough, that's how MMO started, but then, you know, it ballooned out into whatever it is now, which is all about, you know, big name guilds running raids, you know, trying to day one or whatever. It becomes almost an esport. It becomes something that's speed ran, and it becomes something that's very Walmart, something that is very like, you buy the game, you play it for the story, and then you're kind of done. But survival games are something that you just play over and over and over again. So I do want to take both of those worlds where we have like the suite of RPG mechanics and progressions and social experiences that are still unique to MMOs, but then bring it to survival games, which are just so special in my heart and everyone's heart, and just even the poopiest, stupidest, doopiest freaking, you know, survival game still probably gave you memories that you'll never forget, and experience that you'd love sharing. So take those and now share it with more people and enhance it to a level that you've never seen before. Oh my god, I cannot wait to be playing these games. Well, in the end, I do want to know what you guys think in the comments below. Let me know, but much love, friends and family, and all I can ask is, I hope you had fun and you keep the hype alive. And also like and subscribe, that would help. I want to get 100K. Let's get that silver play button. Let's build this community together. And also, if you guys want to play with me and build communities and games, join my Discord, links in the description, and, you know, subscribe so you know whenever I go live. I'll just ask me to play on stream, then yeah, I'll invite you. We'll make guilds and games, we'll do game invasions, and absolutely we'll be playing these games all together. So yeah, much love, friends and family. I'll see you in the next one.